What an absolute banger of a card we had on ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. This UFC Paris card was one for the books. I mean, Jesus Christ, we haven't seen a UFC fight night this good, or I haven't seen one this good since the UFC Tampa card. This is my reaction. This is my recap. What's up, guys? It's time. It's time to talk about this UFC Paris card that was absolutely banging from start to finish. Only two decisions on this card. Every single other fight on this card was a finish. I think I said every finish in this fight was a finish. That's how many finishes were in this goddamn fight. I mean, Jesus Christ. Starting off with the card, we got Shauna Bannon versus Sam Hughes. I went with Shauna Bannon because our last time, I thought it was very impressive for her to come off the canvas off of a huge head kick against Puja Tomar. And Sam Hughes has been split decision her way to be able to get a victory and have this win streak that she's on. And Sam Hughes completely, and I mean utterly, dominated her on the ground with the grappling and jiu-jitsu. It was a no-brainer. I should have thought more into that one, but I mean, it is what it is. I was looking for a little bit more action, but Sam Hughes with the top control in that first round, getting the wrestling off, just being smothering to Shauna Bannon, and obviously in that second round, then getting the back take and cinching in that rear naked choke was absolutely nasty. And now Sam Hughes, I think she's on a 3-fight win streak as of right now, and she's streaking. Moving on up the card, we got Andreas Gustafsson versus Renat Fakhretdinov. A lot of people that have actually seen thought that Gustafsson was going to be able to pull this one off. I knew it was going to be close, or it could have been close, a lot closer than what it actually was, because Gustafsson has that style where he just puts a pace on you. He's just running roughshod on you and trying to be able to take you into his game that he wants to be able to get through. But Renat has been through better competition, in my honest opinion, and has, really, really close decisions to Carlos Leal and Nicholas Dalby, and he was able to pull it off against that type of, competition that he's had against so far. And Gustafsson hasn't really seen somebody like those type of guys on that level yet in his career. And Renat Fakhretdinov, I mean, he just landed a few right hands, and Gustafsson showed no defensive awareness, no head movement, and was just eating and taking shots. And as you seen, his head continuously bop back more and more after Renat started to be able to pummel him to his face. Gustafsson just caved in from the punishment, and Renat Fakhretdinov, he's still, I think, either he's still undefeated or he's undefeated so far in the UFC. Completely warranted. Renat Fakhretdinov, I think, was the betting underdog on this one before the fight even started. You made money on him. You had to make money on him, and if you were following and tailing me, you would have won money on him as well. And moving on up the card now, we got an absolute surprise by me. Brad Tavares versus Robert Birchek. Birchek, man, looked absolutely beautiful in there, man. Brad Tavares is not high level. He's not like, one of the greatest or one of the best ranked middleweights that we have as of right now. Most middleweights are pretty garbo, if we're being quite honest about it. But Robert Birchek, I had him losing this matchup because Brad Tavares has the experience, been in the UFC so far. He has a sort of level where he's at as of right now, where he's, a little bit better than, lower level competition. I mean, he just come off the win of GM3, but obviously the upper echelon of middleweight, he's been losing to. So we already know what kind of level and tier he's in. And Robert Birchek, just from the onset, I mean, just coming in, stalking him down, walking him down, putting on a heavy, heavy pace, landing a whole bunch of combinations to the body, to the head. The boxing was really crisp by Robert, and really almost was looking for the finish. Almost got near goddamn Tavares out of there in that first round until Tavares finally secured a takedown and was able to simmer things out. And it goes into the second round. Birchek is pretty much doing the same thing that he was doing, but just with less volume and output, but still walking Brad Tavares down. Tavares is having a little bit more success on the feet than he was in the first round. He was having some success in the first round, but obviously not to the ilk that he was doing in the second round, until finally Robert Birchek is just landing this nasty combination. I believe he lands a right hand on the button to Brad Tavares, kind of slumps him down, and while Tavares is trying to be able to cover up and shell up, he's not doing it properly, and he's just getting rough shotted by more ground and pound. I think it was a very good stoppage. Some people are going to be like, maybe he could have been able to ward it off a little bit more. I thought it was a great stoppage. Robert Birchek in his UFC debut gets the job done. And moving on up the card now, we got Sam Patterson, I mean, taking care of business in the first round against Trey Waters. He's been on a streak as of right now. I think this is his fourth win in a row, all being by finish. I got him over Trey Waters. Trey Waters has been kind of split decisioning his way to be able to get these victories, and both of these guys being the same type of build in, I believe, the welterweight division that these guys are in, where they're kind of tall, lanky, and lean. And it was just a striking battle from the onset. I mean, it just was finished in the first round, but Trey Waters was landing a few nice jabs, a little right hands every here and there. But Sam Patterson was obviously having a little bit more success on the feet, but he had to be able to worry about what was coming back his way with Trey Waters, being him kind of a prospect himself as well. And just Sam Patterson lands this beautiful right hand on the button. Not snoozes Trey Waters, but damn near has him out of there, has him really confused and dazed on the feet, doesn't really know where he's at, and just continues to pummel him with right hands over and over. Somehow, some way, Trey Waters was not unconscious on the ground, but he definitely was unconscious on the feet, because he looked like he didn't know where left was right was. He didn't know if he was on the cage, he was on the floor. I mean, he was all messed up. And Sam Patterson gets the job done in the first round. Now, moving on up the card now, we got, unfortunately for Ziam, was not able to go through with the fight against Kyle Fernandez. I think that fight was going to be absolutely fantastic, especially it being on a main card stage. But Kyle Fernandez versus Harry Hardwick, I mean, Kyle Fernandez, Jesus, Lord have mercy. Another first round finish. Those calf kicks, those low kicks were just money. And Harry Hardwick had no answer for them. And on both legs, too. There was a moment where, after consistently landing a whole bunch of low kicks, that being Kyle Fernandez, he landed a hard low kick, I think, with Hardwick being in southpaw, and Hardwick buckles, and then Kyle Fernandez lands another hard kick, and that's when Hardwick is switching to orthodox, and both legs, he's literally stilting his way on, like just grimacing and showing so much pain on his face, because, I mean, I think Kyle Fernandez has like lead or titanium in his shins, because, I mean, to be able to just beat up on those calves so easy, so quickly, I mean, it was absolutely nasty. Kyle Fernandez, I'm really impressed by him. I think he's now on a 3-fight win streak. Maybe you can be able to rebook that matchup with him and Fares Ziam. Obviously, it's not going to have the ambiance that it had with, Ziam being in France and the whole thing going on. I think that's still a great matchup. And Kyle Fernandez is a guy probably now like Jonathan Martinez, where his low kicks are absolutely deadly. And now moving on up the card, we got Ante D'Elia making an absolute statement in his first fight in the UFC in his debut. I mean, taking out Marcin Tybura like that so easily, even though Tybura is not, the greatest. He is, what he is. He really is just a stepping stone in the heavyweight division. If you can't get past him, then you're kind of lower down the rankings. And if you can't get past him, you're probably going to shoot up the rankings. Man, just the hand speed, just from the onset, this like blitzkrieg that Ante D'Elia put on Marcin Tybura was on another realm, especially for heavyweights. These guys are not seeing these punches coming in that fast ever at all. And Marcin Tybura looked like he got taken aback by it. He was like, oh my God, this dude is like throwing like 17 punches right now. Usually 17 punches are about like accumulated in 2 rounds, not in just like a burst of energy as of right now. And while he's just like tore off about it, and he's like, he wasn't really getting walked or wobbled, but he was definitely like, oh my God, like what is going on right now? I need to slow this pace down. He then shoots in for a takedown. He struggles at it for like 2 minutes, gets out of it, and you can obviously see he's trying really hard to be able to get that takedown, because it's absolutely gassed from there, from onset. And Ante D'Elia, just another blitzkrieg right into Marcin Tybura's face. Fakes a right hand, nasty little shovel left hook right on the button of Tybura, drops Tybura down badly, a little bit of ground and pound, and he gets Marcin Tybura out of there. Ante D'Elia, very surprising out of him, training with Tom Aspinall and those boys over there in London, England. He's been putting in great work, and he's probably going to be ranked like 7 or 6 so far in the heavyweight division. Absolutely big jump up, and a great thing for the heavyweight division, knowing that there's going to be absolutely another contender for them to be able to feed to Tom Aspinall, unfortunately, his training partner. Now moving on up the card, we got Umar Sy versus Brandonson Ribeiro. I don't know much about this fight, I just know Umar Sy beat the hell out of Brendan Ribeiro, and that's something that we obviously expected to be able to happen. The first Frenchman that we're able to see on this card in Paris, they absolutely made a whole bunch of noise for them. I mean, Umar Sy is just a level above Brendan Ribeiro. I think Umar Sy can be able to make his way back into possibly the light heavyweight rankings, but he needs to be able to really configure himself because he's going to go against some heavy hitters. He's going to be able to need to, test his chin every now and then. He can't be just so scared to be able to get into these firefights because he does against these lower level competition, and he knows that he's going to be able to put them out easily. But against other guys, he's really worried about what's coming back his way. Anyways, Umar Sy gets the job done over Brendan Ribeiro. If you thought anything differently, you're crazy. And now moving on to the first fight that actually went to a decision. Unfortunately, not all the fights on this card went to a finish, but obviously the fighters that were in this fight were obviously going to be seeing a decision because I mean William Gomez versus Robert Ruchala. Ruchala making his UFC debut. William Gomez, known for being the absolute sniper, outpointer on the feet that he is. First round, I think William Gomez took it. While it was comp. I mean, Ruchala was trying to be able to get some takedowns, had Gomez on the fence, had him worrying about, changing levels and things of that nature. But Gomez repeatedly on the feet, just getting what he wanted to be able to get to, being the slick and, swift type of fighter that he is on the feet. Second round, I think, went to Ruchala. Ruchala actually got a takedown. Didn't really do much. And while he did get some takedowns in the first round, he didn't really do much, and Gomez did pop back up a few times every now and then. I think it was only a couple times that Ruchala actually did that. But back to saying about the second round. In the second round, Ruchala got a takedown, had top control, really just won the round because he had top control and was able to get the takedown against Gomez. Third round, William Gomez on the feet, doing his thing, outpouring Ruchala. Ruchala had a moment where he actually had landed a leg kick or a head kick that looked like really like wobbled Gomez for a little bit, and then Gomez then returned fire with a straight left hand right down the pipe that hurt Ruchala himself. I mean, it was a little bit of back and forth. It was comp. It was a good fight for William Gomez to be able to bounce back off of his first loss after a very long time. But William Gomez on the feet, it's just he's a shrewd operator. It's hard to be able to get the things that you want to be able to get against him. He's going to play the distance game, his kickboxing just in general is really good. Unless you're a guy like Hyder Emil, you're probably going to have a rough time. And even Hyder Emil, I think that fight was very close and it could have been a robbery going to William Gomez. You're going to have a tough time against Gomez, regardless of the fact. And he got the job done over Ruchala. And that was very, very apparent because Gomez is known for doing those type of things. And now moving on up the card, we got a nice little scrap from Axel Sola and Reese McKee. Alex Sola, he's coming up a weight division to be able to come against and make his UFC debut against a guy like Reese McKee. Reese McKee is not great comp. I mean, he's lower level for sure. And if you're kind of going to it was very scrappy. I would damn near almost call it a war. Both of these guys were going back and forth on the feet. It was just give and take. I think Axel Sola was getting a little bit better of the exchanges and was able to get some takedowns or at least implement the takedowns and be able to do the things that had Reese McKee worried, but McKee was still game and still was actually showing up for things on the feet. But in that third round, Axel Sola landing that beautiful landed left shot right to the liver, to the body of Reese McKee, drops Reese McKee down, hurts him bad, lands some ground and pound, gets the job done. Shout out to Axel Sola. Not a great win in terms of name value like Reese McKee, but going up a weight division in your UFC debut, in your hometown and crowd, gets the job done. Now moving on up to the card, which I think is absolutely the fight of the night, and I absolutely called it to be the fight of the night. Balaji Oki versus Mason Jones, and my God, give these guys an absolute grand applause. This one was just beauty, absolute beauty. Balaji Oki starts off the fight really, really fast, coming in very hard against Mason Jones, and he's just similarly to what Anthony D'Elia was doing to Marcin Tybura, just blitzkrieging, just blitzing in, having obviously the speed advantage, and while he had the speed advantage, he used it to his great ability, landing some nice combinations and shots up to the head to Mason Jones. wobbling Mason Jones. I don't think hurting him significantly, but definitely wobbling him and having him on notice. And while this absolutely tirade of shots are coming Mason Jones' way, he's taking it calm. He's able to weather the storm a little bit. And while things are able to slow down, while Oki is slowing down and not putting on that same type of pressure that he was in those first like 2 minutes and 30 seconds, Mason Jones is able to get a takedown. No, excuse me. He actually lands a few hard shots his way. That being Mason Jones hurts Balaji Oki. Really had him like damn near flopping on the ground almost. But thankfully, Balaji Oki was able to have some type of balance to be able to keep up on his feet. Mason Jones then obviously then fishes in and gets a takedown, has top control, is fishing for Kimura, damn near had it in himself, lands some nasty ground and pound, and Mason Jones takes a round where he damn near was about to get put out and damn near finished and possibly looking like a 10-8 round, looking towards him, swings it on its complete head, has it damn near his way, or really, if you're going to be able to call it, it was very even. I mean, Mason Jones had so much time for him to be able, I think he had like 2 times for him to be able to get that Kimura in that first round against Balaji Oki, but Balaji Oki is a strong dude. Second round, Mason Jones and Balaji Oki, they're going back and forth, trading and exchanging with some type of combinations between these two guys. Mason Jones obviously initiates, or Balaji Oki actually initiates a clinching session. And while he's able to do that and wants to be able to maybe implement a little bit of wrestling, Mason Jones then gets a nice sweep and just big takedown. Drops him right on the back of Balaji Oki. And just from there is fishing and looking for submissions. And already Balaji has that in his mind because he damn near got put out by that Kimura. And while he doesn't have that same type of explosivity and gas tank, he's probably not going to be able to ward off those submissions that he did earlier in that first round. Mason Jones just starting raining down hell with these elbows. I mean, nasty, over and over. Just didn't stop, didn't care about what was going to come back his way or was threatened in any situation. And Mason Jones gets the finish in the second round. Absolutely fight of the night between these two guys. Great performance by Mason Jones. Name value in terms of what he has on his resume so far as his return back to the UFC is not great. But, I mean, the fights that he's always in is absolutely entertainment value, bar none. And moving now up the card, we got Paul Craig getting finished in another fight yet again. Is this a surprise? This should come with everything that a Paul Craig fight comes in with now, whether he be in middleweight or in light heavyweight. Thankfully, he retired and went out on his own shield because, yeah, besides a body kick, and actually he showed a little bit more in this fight. He threw a little bit of an inside low kick, got a little busy with his hands, but still, Paul Craig is still going to Paul Craig. He's going to move backwards. He's going to have his chin up high. He's going to get hit with some nasty shots, and eventually he's going to get finished. Modestas Bukauskas, he took care of business. He did what he needed to be able to do. He was patient. He took his time. He didn't really worry about the moment of when it was going to happen. He just knew eventually that it was going to happen because that's what kind of happens in Paul Craig fights, especially if you're actually pretty good. You know, lands this nasty right hand over the top on the temple of Craig Jones, drops him, has him in bad position, lands a nasty elbow towards the end of that first round. And while you think that the round is over and we're potentially going to get ready for that second one, the fight is called off. Paul Craig has had enough. It is what it is. And, yeah, he retires. I mean, you know, at every single fight that he's had besides maybe as of recently that I can think of, he's only had like one submission victory. And that came in like maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. Paul Craig ever since then has been like on a 5-fight losing streak. I'm glad that he retired on his own shield and he's not going to be able to take any more punishment. Hopefully he just goes back to BJJ, which is absolutely his strength. But, yeah, the body kick monster himself, Craig Jones. Nice to be able to see that you're going out on your own time. And now to the co-main event, we got Benoit Saint Denis actually getting the job done over Mauricio Ruffy. Obviously, the hype of the fighting nerds has been all over the place. You've seen the edits, you've seen the TikToks, you've seen the Instagram reels. It's been all over the place. And they're known for being very hype and having a lot of eyes on them. And that's something that Benoit Saint Denis had before he got finished against Dustin Poirier, and he got taken out to carry, the business against Renato Moicano. He came off the win against Kyle Prepelec, and obviously, that was going to happen. But against Mauricio Ruffy, I mean, him on the feet, nothing has really changed. And on this one, he just did what he needed to be able to do, respectively, against Mauricio Ruffy. The game plan was there set for him. Be in Ruffy's face, you know, obviously use your power to your advantage. You're going to get hit with a few shots, especially in that second round where that knee up the middle by Ruffy, I thought absolutely was going to sleep Benoit Saint Denis. Somehow, someway, he was able to stay on his feet after that one. But really, Benoit Saint Denis just got into his face, was able to get the takedown and secure it in that first round. And ever since then, really Ruffy was worried about the takedowns, getting pushed back, not looking like how he was in all the other fights that he's ever been in beforehand. And Ruffy just had a real issue, just staying on the fence, not moving around, having pretty decent takedown defense, at few times, but then he's not as explosive as he is on the feet. He's obviously showing lapses on defense, getting hit with a few shots every now and then by Benoit Saint Denis. Mauricio Ruffy, man, obviously got fraud checked in this one because a lot of people, especially myself, thought that Benoit Saint Denis was primed to be able to get slept out cold in this one against Mauricio Ruffy. And that's exactly what I thought was going to be able to happen, but I knew that there was an avenue away for Benoit Saint Denis to be able to win, and that's exactly how it went down. He followed a strict game plan. He did what he needed to be able to do, that being securing the takedowns, having Ruffy worried about every single thing that was coming his way. He was so worried about the takedowns that he was kind of just like lax on the defense of the striking of Benoit Saint Denis. While Benoit Saint Denis is very slow, he is very powerful, and if he does touch you and hit you with a few shots, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get wobbled. You're going to definitely feel it. And this one is, I think, a good learning lesson for Mauricio Ruffy. A jump up of competition that he needed to be able to see for him to be able to further his career. I don't know if he's going to be this type of guy of where he's going to have these highlight KOs against all these other dudes against lower level. But once he jumps up in terms of competition, he's not really, anything in the rankings, really, especially in lightweight. Lightweight is very, very tough. If you can't be able to get over a guy like Benoit Saint Denis, there's no way you're going to get over a guy like Arman Sarukian, Mateusz Gamrot, Rafael Fiziev, who is, amazing on the feet, but he's able to get a few takedowns now. And if he's able to get a few takedowns on Ruffy, there's a way that he can be able to implement that to be able to have a game plan to win against Ruffy. So Ruffy, gets fraud checked, man. It was prime. He was ready. Denis obviously has a very, very big gaping hole in terms of his defense and his hand speed, or just speed in general, in his game. And Benoit Saint Denis got the job done in his home crowd, is able to redeem himself after last year. He was the main event against Moicano for Paris, and he then got the job done against Ruffy. So shout out to Benoit Saint Denis, proving me wrong, and still solidifying himself in the rankings and getting Mauricio Ruffy and the hype out of there. And now moving on to the main event, and we had absolutely what I expected to be able to go down. Nasruddin Imavov versus Kyle Borralho. I thought this fight was 50-50 in terms of the prediction of what I was going to be able to make for this fight. I went with Kyle Borralho. A lot of other people that I've seen their videos or I've seen their predictions or I've seen who they probably are leaning to more towards, and a lot of people were leaning towards Imavov. Very surprising to me because looking at the gambling odds before the fight even started, Borralho was the slight edge favorite in this one. And I went with Borralho because I thought he was going to be able to, mix in the takedowns, maybe not even get them, but really just show and change levels and show that he can be able to threaten with that. And shout out to the Nasruddin Imavov. His takedown defense was absolutely impeccable in this fight. Also, as well, you can be able to see that the speed advantage was definitely towards Nasruddin Imavov's way. And also, as well, in terms of defense and technique, I think Imavov had the edge over that one overall. I think the striking was very, very comparable between these two guys and very close overall. But I did think that Imavov did have the edge in terms of the striking. I thought that Borralho had the edge a little bit over in terms of the grappling and his acumen. First round, though, going round by round basis, it was very very close. I think it this fight hinges on it. And before I'm able to go into round by round basis of what I saw in this fight, I think it was absolutely egregious that a card was 50-45. That's abysmal. That is abysmal. Now, Borralho had his back against the wall if he thought he was able to get any type of decision in Paris with Imavov. Him getting a decision, he had to be able to like 10-8 him in a few rounds or just absolutely dominate him. If it was anything type of close like how it was in this type of fight, I don't think Borralho had a chance in terms of getting any type of decision on the scorecard. I can see 49-46. I lean more towards 48-47 in my honest opinion if I was a judge, and maybe they should have me as a judge because I would be non-biased and I wouldn't mind the pay as well. But anyways, first round. Imavov was really heavy on the pressure, really stalking Borralho heavily. Borralho, I think, was looking more towards of having a counter game, really just catching Imavov with a lot of shots. I think he knew that he had the speed disadvantage with him, so he wanted to be able to time him with a few shots that to be able to land hard against Imavov. Nobody really landed clean. Nobody really landed anything hard. Borralho outlanded Imavov, but Imavov was definitely the ring general, pressing on with the pace and the pressure, and really having the fight at his pace that he wanted to be able to go to. If you thought Imavov won that round, I'm not mad. If you thought Borralho won that round, I'm not mad either. I'm probably going to have to be able to watch this one over. Maybe I'll give a review if you guys want that. You guys let me know in the comment section about that one. Second round, I think that the combination flows were doing a lot better towards Imavov. He definitely took that one, in my honest opinion. He was really hung on forward and starting to be able to land his twos, getting a little bit more aggressive. Not really, I'm not saying worrying about what Borralho was throwing his way, but landing this lead, this not lead, but a right hand, a right hook towards the body over and over again. Borralho was doing great work as well, looking to be able to fish some type of takedowns. But again, the takedown defense by Imavov was absolutely immaculate. Borralho was having some success, though. He was having success overall throughout this entirety of the fight. He was landing his jab pretty well, hand fighting a lot, and was able to really, I want to say mystify Imavov with a few shots here and there. Really just have Imavov having a stalemate of wanting to be able to see who is trying to be able to go first here and there. Third round, I think, definitely went Borralho's way. He outlanded Imavov. He looked like he was starting to be able to press a little bit more, have a little bit more action, landing 1-2s over and over. When he started to be able to land his 1-2, which is probably his best combination or crisp thing in terms of his game, in terms of his stand-up, that 1-2 is perfect, especially in that solid ball position. That 1-2 is absolutely perfect by Borralho. He started to be able to land it a little bit more, landing his twos. He's started to stand switch. He did it in the first and second round, but he would stand switch going into orthodox, being out of southpaw, going into orthodox and landing the low kick. I think if he did that more, especially even in southpaw, whether it be inside or outside, understandably so, you're not going to want to be in the way of a right hand by Imavov, which eventually that speed advantage was absolutely on display from this fight from the jump, and Imavov was landing nasty right hands over and over throughout the majority of the fight. If you're going to want to look at the cleaner, harder, effective shots in this one, Imavov was definitely landing the hard right hands on Borralho, but Borralho was taking them pretty good. He has definitely a chin on him. Got wobbled by a few of them, but definitely wasn't in a huge scenario of being hurt. But in that third round, Imavov was having success and he was doing things here and there, but I just think Borralho was outlanding him and doing the better work in that one. Fourth round was a backswing round to Imavov. Imavov was on the pressure, landing hard combinations, landing the hard 1-2s. Borralho was having moments, but not really having enough moments like how he was in the third round. And Imavov is just continuously, throughout the entirety of the fight, he was pressing. He was really having Borralho worried about what was coming his way. Borralho, in my opinion, was way too reactionative. He had way too many of much moments of where he was worrying about what Imavov was trying to be able to throw to him. And while he was worried about he was trying to be able to throw to him, he wasn't able to really initiate the type of offense that he wanted to be able to initiate. And while he wasn't able to do that, it stunted his offense throughout the majority of the fight. But especially in that fourth round, Imavov was really taking control, landing the harder shots. and overall just doing what he wanted to be able to implement in that fight overall. Fifth round, swing round. It is back and forth. Both guys are landing hard shots. I give it to Borralho because I think Borralho did the better overall majority work, but Imavov was still there, landing the hard right hands. Borralho was over and over, especially throughout the entirety of the fight, especially early on in the fight. He was trying to be able to land, not really land his left kick. Yeah, because that's he's southpaw. So his left kick, I think he was doing it more just to be able to chop down on Imavov's right hand and have his right hand be as non-effective as it can be able to be. So he just continuously over and over just started to be able to throw that early in the fight, and he continuously did it throughout the entirety of it. And I just think Borralho did a little bit more in that fifth round. Again, this fight was very, very close. I think the rounds that obviously went to Imavov. The rounds that went to Borralho are close, but it leaned more towards Borralho. Again, Borralho obviously is defensively aware and responsible, but being way too reactionary to Imavov's feints, giving Imavov moments of what he wanted to be able to shoot and throw. The hand speed and the combinations by Imavov were immaculate throughout the entirety of the fight. The right hands by Imavov that he was landing over and over was chin-checking Borralho beautifully. Borralho was having good moments as well with his hands, with his 1-2, his jab overall. Whenever they tried to be able to exchange, they both landed really hard shots. This fight was exactly how I expected it to be. A very close and competitive one. I went with Borralho, but I was also at first leaning towards Imavov winning this one. And my initial gut reaction of who I thought was going to be able to win this one won out. But obviously, it's on paper me saying that Borralho is going to win. So whatever. Imavov gets the job done. I think this fight is a lot closer than what a lot of other people are thinking. I'm probably going to be able to revisit this one very, very soon. This one was close. This one was very close, and I think the judges are absolutely disgusting. But it is what it is. They're in Paris. They're doing what they needed to be able to do, and they got the job done. Imavov, 100% is next up for Khamzat Chimaev. They're obviously going to have the RDR versus Fluffy matchup that's going to be happening next month. Maybe Dana is probably going to be waiting out for that one to see who is going to be able to win that matchup. But realistically, what I think should happen, since Chimaev didn't really take a lot of damage in that matchup against DDP and just really did what he wanted to be able to do, make this matchup happen against Imavov, get this one out of the way. He's the clear #1 contender for sure, without a doubt. Beating Borralho, a guy who's been undefeated for, I think they said 10 years, obviously undefeated in the UFC. I think this is also a great learning experience for Borralho. Really, man, I understand you not wanting to be able to have any defensive lapses, but those low kicks were money, dude. They were money, and they were there for the taking throughout the entirety of the fight. This experience for the fighting nerds, I think, is going to be good for them, that being Borralho and Ruffy. Going into enemy territory, not really getting... Well, Borralho didn't get fraud checked, in my opinion, but Ruffy definitely got fraud checked in that one. Getting their bearings back together, get them in some good matchups to be able to get their confidence and get them back into winning ways, and then really spring them into where they need to be able to go in towards of the rankings. Obviously, like this video. If you obviously like this video, comment your opinions about this card. This card was absolutely beautiful. I mean, UFC Paris absolutely treated us perfectly. Like I said earlier in this video, the only fight night that I can be able to remember that was absolutely on this type of par of level was the UFC Tampa card that we had as of last year. That being, I think it was Buckley versus Covington. Yeah, Buckley versus Covington. That was the last time that we had a fight card or a fight night that was absolutely impeccable like this one. And subscribe. You're here, you're a UFC fan, you love this type of video. I love you for loving this type of video. And thank you guys again for watching again, and peace.